What is up, everybody? Ethan back today with a fun video that I've been wanting to do a while. This is my list of 10 essential hard rock albums of the 70s. So I've put together a list of 10. I might have missed a few. It's hard to make a list of just 10. But to me, popularity-wise, sales-wise, I love these albums. But also they're kind of, aside from my opinion, they're considered 10 great or essential landmark albums of the 70s for hard rock. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the list. So number one, I'm going with Grand Funk and Closer to Home. This is their third album. I love their first two albums. They're late 60s, 69, both actually. Almost picked the Red Album, Grand Funk. This one, I love this album too, but it's technically still 69, so I went with this one, another favorite of mine, but probably the most well-known Grand Funk album, so I had to go with this one, 1970. Sin's a Good Man's Brother, just a heavy, bluesy hard rock song. You got Mark Farner, Don Brewer, Mel Shocker, just a three-piece that's hard and heavy, Aimless Lady, Mean Mistreater is a great blues song, and has the long epic song I'm Your Captain. Long epic, great vocal from Mark Farner. He was a guitar player and a vocalist. What a talent he was, kind of the leader of this band. Just a great underrated hard rock band. Grand Funk Railroad. Closer to Home for me is a essential hard rock album from the 1970s, in the year 1970, kicking it off. And I'm going to try to kind of go in somewhat chronological order. So number two, got to go with Led Zeppelin 4, or self-titled Led Zeppelin. Their fourth album. Now again, I love their first two albums. I think my personal favorite Zeppelin album is number 2, Led Zeppelin 2, with, just hard and heavy, just darker album. This is a little more polished, a little more radio friendly. You got Black Dog, just a hard rock classic. Hear it on the radio a lot. Of course, Stairway to Heaven at the end of side 1. Just a kind of magnum opus for the band. Just kind of, it's their masterpiece. So just one of the most famous. I mean, you see their faces: Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, John Bonham. You see their faces on T-shirts and record shops. You see posters of the band. Just an iconic hard rock 70s lineup of a band, and probably their most famous essential album, Led Zeppelin 4. That was number 9. So, and these are not really, I'm not really ranking these. I kind of love all these albums equally. Maybe some slightly more than others, but objectively, these are just 10 great albums from the 70s. LA Woman, The Doors. You might consider this, kind of progressive, kind of psych, kind of hippie band, The Doors, especially early on. But to me, this has always been their 70s hard rock album. This is their last album with Jim Morrison before he died. Just LA Woman, that's a hard rock song. The Changeling, Been Down So Long, great hard, heavy blues rock. Riders on the Storm is kind of their Stairway to Heaven, just a masterpiece, an epic, moody, atmospheric, melancholy radio staple. It's like a driving song, meaning a song you listen to while you drive, kind of in the rain at night, maybe, real atmospheric. Just a masterpiece. This is my pick for number 8, essential 70s hard rock albums, LA Woman. Got to go with Kiss next. Hotter Than Hell. The debut is probably the more famous album, probably has the more well-known songs, but to me, this album has always captured the essence of hard rock for me. Dark, heavy, mean, Parasite, Hotter Than Hell title track, Going Blind, Watching You is a hard, rampaging, proto-metal song. Released the same year as the debut, 1974. Kiss Hotter Than Hell is my pick for number 7. 1 year later, going to 1972, early in 1972, an iconic band, an iconic lineup of that band, probably the most iconic lineup. Without a doubt, their most popular album, Deep Purple, Machine Head. This is their, sixth album, so they had a good bit before this. I could have gone with In Rock. To me, it's equally as good as this. But to me, this captures the essence of 70s hard rock, and it captures the essence of Deep Purple, Highway Star. Of course, Smoke on the Water, one of the most iconic guitar riffs of the early 70s, along with, I would say, Black Sabbath, Iron Man. Just Smoke on the Water, just a masterpiece. Ritchie Blackmore's just greatest guitar riff, without a doubt. But Maybe I'm a Leo, great funky driving song. Pictures of Home is an underrated classic on this album. Space Truckin', I love it. Hard, heavy. Lazy is a fun little playful bluesy lick from Ritchie Blackmore. Just a great album from a great band. A personal, probably favorite band of mine. They might be one of my favorite bands of all time. I prefer Deep Purple over like Led Zeppelin, the Eagles and Pink Floyd. Always preferred Deep Purple, and to me, this is their essential 70s hard rock album. Up next, kind of an underrated, lesser-known band, but this is Montrose from 1973, just a year later, with a guy right here by the name of Sammy Hagar singing. Wasn't even aware he was in this band. You might know him later from Van Halen. He joined in the mid-80s. But yeah, Montrose, named after the guitar player right here, Ronnie Montrose. There's a great shot of the guys. This is just hard, heavy, American hard rock. 1973, just no ballads, thumping drums, great bass, wild, crazy guitar riffs and solos, and a great commanding vocal from Sammy Hagar. Just a great band, and this is definitely their best album and their first, and is considered sort of a sleeper great album of the 70s in hard rock. Montrose, self-titled. All right, so 4 more. Going forward 2 more years to 1975, a band that they've never been my favorite band, probably never will be. I love their early stuff though. Their early stuff is without a doubt classic hard American 70s rock. And I'm going with Toys in the Attic from Aerosmith. This is their 3rd album. Could have gone with Rocks. Equally as good. Some people prefer that one. To me, I think this one is slightly better. You got Toys in the Attic. Just a hard charging, almost proto thrash metal song. Walk This Way. Hear it on the radio. Good song, though. Sweet Emotion. What a great song that is. Round and Round, to me, is the underrated gem on this album. Go listen to Aerosmith, Round and Round. That riff could have been a Black Sabbath song. I had never heard an Aerosmith song that heavy. They're kind of more well known for their later 80s and 90s kind of pop radio stuff. To me, this is an essential 70s hard rock album, Toys in the Attic from Aerosmith. Sticking with 1975, that same year, this is a great band from the United Kingdom. Just a classic blues hard rock band. I'm going with Foghat, Fool for the City. I love that album cover. The drummer there, Roger Earl, fishing in the sewer drain. Slow Ride, just a great 70s hard rock anthem. You hear it on the radio sometimes. I don't listen to the radio anymore, but you will hear that on the radio if you listen to the radio. Fool for the City, great kickoff song. Terraplane Blues, Take It or Leave It, Drive Me Home. I also love Night Shift, the one after this one. I also love Energize, the one right before it. They're strong contenders. Were it not for the success of Slow Ride on this one, they might be just as strong as this one. But this is the most well-known, best-selling Foghat album, and it is my pick and my personal favorite for essential 70s hard rock albums. Fool for the City, Foghat. Up next, another band, not my favorite band, a landmark album from a landmark, game-changing band from 1978, especially their guitar player. He changed the game going forward into the 80s, the way he played. He was an innovator. He was a game changer in the true sense of the word. Van Halen, self-titled. David Lee Roth, the Van Halen brothers, Alex and Eddie Van Halen, the legend on guitar, the bassist Michael Anthony, a classic lineup from a classic band, and probably what most would consider their best album. It's the only one I own a physical copy of. It's my favorite. I love 2 and you know, the third one, and I love Fair Warning too. Mean Streets is a killer song. But yeah, this was a game changer in 78. This kind of paved the way for the way guitar would be played later in the 80s. Think Randy Rhoads. Everybody was doing the squealing, you know, solos after Eddie Van Halen, you know, the tapping, the weird stuff on the guitar bar. All started with him. It did. I mean, everybody took what he did and ran with it, much how everybody took what Hendrix did in the late 60s and ran with it in the 70s. So yeah, Van Halen, 1978, released in February, so very early. They were recording and playing gigs well before this in the early 70s, doing ZZ Top and actually Montrose covers, so they had their eye on Sammy Hagar probably from day one. But yeah, to me, David Lee Roth is the singer for Van Halen. Sammy Hagar's probably a better singer, but for this band, for what they were doing here, I've always preferred David Lee Roth as the front man of this band, and this is their best album and an essential hard rock 70s album, Van Halen. Last but not least, AC/DC, Highway to Hell. 1979, so capping off the decade. We started at 70 and went all the way to 79, spanning the decade. This is the last 70s AC/DC album. There's other ones in the early 70s that I like just as much. Let There Be Rock, probably my favorite for just its primal energy, but this is a landmark hard rock 70s album to cap off the decade. And it is the last album with founding our first singer, Bon Scott. Malcolm, Angus Young, the Guitar Brothers on rhythm and lead guitar. What great guitar players. They play off each other so well. You know, Malcolm with the crunchy riffs and the rhythm. Angus with the wild leads running around the stage. Highway to Hell, Girls Got Rhythm, just a toe-tapping driving song. Touch Too Much, love it. Night Prowler, Shot Down in Flames, just a rampaging hard rock song. Just this was a game changer for the band, and it is my pick for arguably last landmark 70s hard rock album from AC/DC, Highway to Hell. So yeah, that is my list. Short and sweet, 10 essential 70s hard rock albums. I might have missed some. Please list your 10 below. Let me know what you would rank or what you would put for your 10 essential. To me, of the ones I own, the ones that I feel like are the essence of 70s hard rock, those are my picks. You know, there's others. What are some honorable mentions? Ted Nugent, self-titled. I consider that an essential hard rock 70s album. Maybe April Wine, Harder, Faster. What are some other? Black Sabbath. I didn't consider them because I consider them more of a metal band. I might do a future video with heavy metal, and they would definitely be on that. This is, to me, more essential hard rock. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for watching this video. Like I said, there are others. I can't think of them at the moment, but those are my picks. Please tell me your favorites or what you consider the essential 10 70s hard rock albums below. Thank you for watching.